The fourth thing I want to say to you is move your audience. You got to know your audience. You got to feel your audience. You got to touch your audience. But the whole purpose of touching your audience is to move your audience. In other words, when you're up speaking, you want to take your audience on a journey. You want to take them where you want them to go. You want to move. They may have been neutral. They may have been disinterested in what you were saying, but you want to be able to move them in the direction that you want them to move. Back to the fact that what I've got to say and what you've got to say is important. And they may be on the opposite side of what you're thinking. When you get done, you want to have moved them from point A to point B, all with the power of your mouth. Look at somebody and say, it's all in the presentation. You'll know you're successful when you move them from this situation into that situation. It's similar to what happens with a lawyer when he walks into a courtroom. He walks into a courtroom, whether he's a prosecutor or he's a defender, and he walks into that courtroom, and his job or her job is to convince the jury, which may be neutral or supposed to be neutral. It's supposed to be, the jury is supposed to be unbiased and neutral. But what the lawyer does is he walks in and he paints pictures and he uses illustrations and he uses all of his skill and his talent and his ability. He brings in charts and graphs and information, and he's doing a whole presentation, and his whole job is to move the mind of the jury to where he wants them to go. They walked in and they saw maybe it's a murder case, and they were neutral. They wasn't sure who was the guilty party. But by the time that lawyer gets done, they would have moved their whole mind to another decision. They may have come in prepared to say guilty. But by the time that lawyer gets done presenting information and facts and data and pictures and photos and words and picture words, he has moved your mind from here to there. As a presenter, what you want to do is move your audience. They may have come in biased, they may have even been for you, but you want to move them. You want to make them see it. If you're trying to describe a certain smell, a certain taste, a certain whatever, you have to make them almost smell it. If you want to convince them that your company is about to walk into a season or walk into some level of profit, you need to make them see it. You need to make them see it. When they walk out of the room, they say, I believe what you said. I believe we're on the upswing because you said it. I came in, I wasn't sure where we were going with this, but by the time you gave your presentation, I was convinced that your way is the way. Oh boy, when you're moving your audience, that means that you want to move them from point A to point B. I want to take you on a journey with me. I want to take you somewhere that maybe you wasn't prepared to go. When I get done, let me show it to you this way. I was amazed, and some of you were too, several years ago. Anybody remember the Rodney King verdict? The Rodney King incident went down. The first thing most of us saw is the videotape. When we saw the videotape, it was maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. All we saw was a police officer several police officers beating a man down in the street. And we were like, we were shocked that there wasn't a quick, decisive conclusion to that situation, because our eyes saw the man being beaten. Our eyes saw the baton swinging. Our eyes saw the man writhing in the floor and several men kicking and beating him. But some people, when some people even went to trial on a situation, they walked in with that image in their head. I saw for myself. I saw. You can't tell me that the police went wrong. I saw it with my own two eyes. Do you know what was really interesting? As they begin to go through the whole court drama, the lawyer that went up there to present or defend, he made the audience. He made the jury. He made most of America, which is why we were split. He made them not see what they saw. By the time he got done, there were people saying, well, I don't know whether they swung it or not. I saw it with my eyes, but he made such a convincing argument that I'm not sure I saw what I saw. What am I saying? I'm saying as a presenter, you can make them see what you want them to see. That means that if your presentation is corporate information, if it's a message, if it's you want to convince them to see what they wouldn't ordinarily see. So look at somebody and say, you got to move them. When you are done, they need to be totally convinced that whatever you're thinking is the train we should be on. Wherever you're going with this, we need to be going with you. I need to move you from here to there, and you got a few minutes to convince them and move them and make them see what you want them to see. Look at somebody and say, you got to move me. It's what makes our favorite speakers our favorite speakers. They touch us and they move us. They motivate us. They make us take an action, or they change a thinking, or they change a mindset. In this room, to me, is one of God's most powerful resources, because as you leave from this program and from this situation, you're going to be armed with the power to change the course of rivers, to change social mindsets, to change how people think and feel. You are armed and dangerous. When you walk into that room, you need to know that I came with my 6 guns. I came with 2 or 3 pistols. I came loaded. I came prepared. If you weren't with me, by the time I get done, you're going to be with me. I came to do this. I came to move you. I came to make you do something. I came to make you jump or run or write a check. When I get done, you ought to be putting the check in my hand. You need to be, and this translates, that means that when you go in for the loan officer may have been totally prepared to say no. Looked at your gender, looked at your skin color, and said no. But by the time you started making your argument and making your presentation and showing them how prepared you were and did your homework and came with your, they said, you know what, I wasn't going to, but I think I'm going to go ahead and... Sitting across the table from that loan officer or from the person that's trying to give you that car, and you're trying to negotiate that interest rate down to a place where you can live with it. He's saying no, and you're saying yes, and he's giving you all the reasons why he's not going to give it to you. And you all of a sudden say, give me 5 minutes, sir. Let me explain something to you. And you start giving facts and information and study. You start bringing out your credit report and your payment history, and you start bringing out your references and your friends and your family and all the folks that know how responsible you are. How can he argue with that? You made a presentation. Look at somebody and say, it's all in the presentation. Sometimes the difference between giving you the job, giving you the promotion, giving you the loan had nothing to do with education. It just meant that you came prepared. You may have walked in the room right behind somebody who's crying saying, it's not going to happen. I can't get it to happen. But you walk into that situation and you say, you know what? I'm going to move this man's mind. My whole job is to move your mind. I'll know I'm successful when I moved you from what you thought to what you now think. In a church setting, it's very easy to do that because people move and they shout and they holler and they cry. But I'm talking about walking into your boardroom where you walk away from the presentation and the vice president walks up to you and says, you know what? I think you are smart, intelligent. In fact, would you like to lead this project? I believe that you know the information. He probably came in saying she don't know what she's talking about. Where does she come from? What side of town does she come from? But by the time you made your presentation, you have moved the mind of the vice president of your company. You have moved the mind of people who were ready to be prejudiced against you. You have the ability to change the mind of a man who he really didn't know what he was looking at when he saw you. He didn't even know that he had a diamond. He didn't even know that he had something that was valuable. In fact, somebody was stupid enough to divorce you, not realizing that you were the best thing they ever had. They don't even know that you are the secret to their success. They don't even know that the whole reason the boss gave him the job was because he liked you. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. Come on. Let's be real up in here. So now he got the little job and he decided he don't want you and watched everything he thought he had crumble. Now you with Jimmy. Jimmy said, you know what, girl, you bad. You're intelligent, you're smart, you're beautiful, you're articulate. You can say things that I can't say. Matter of fact, come on to the meeting with me. If I get stuck, speak up for me. I'm talking about moving something. I'm not talking about walking into a situation where they walk away talking about how pretty you were. I'm talking about when you walk in and you walk out with all the marbles. And you ain't got to look like a man to do it. I mean, come in with your heels and your suit and all your stuff on, your perfume going everywhere, and you walk out with the contract, $1 million contracts, because you move them. Look at somebody and say, move your audience. Move your audience. You want to bring them to the same conclusion. If you think that you are a smart person, if you think that you are a worthwhile person, if you think that you are an articulate, intelligent person, when you get done with that crowd, they should be convinced that you are what you said you are.